Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to fifth day of our Secrets of Gita Reveal session. Today we are going to discuss about who is Ishvara, the controller. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss today. Before that, we will start with small prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजाताम् सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय श्री श्री गौरनिताई की जय श्री 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 जगन्नाथ बलराम सुभद्रा मैया की जय जगत गुरु पतित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। So let us discuss today's topics. So we'll discuss these topics today. God, a famous personality. Does God exist? Meaning of Bhagavan and eyes to see God, knowing about God, and three ways to acquire knowledge. And scriptures are our mother. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss today. So God is a famous personality. I think you all agree with me, right? The statement, God is a famous personality. Let me start with a simple question. Is there anyone in this world who is famous everywhere? Some people are famous in a city, some in a country, some globally, like celebrities or leaders. But even they are not known to everyone. They are not remembered forever. and they are not powerful everywhere. For example, if you take uh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he may be powerful in India, but he may not be powerful in all the countries like US, UK, Australia, Canada. If he goes there, he may not be as powerful as he is in India. So now think, if God exists, shouldn't he be the most famous personality across the globe? See, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks directly and says, I am the source of everything. So, God is not an abstract energy or imagination. God is a person. He has a name, he has form, he has qualities, and he has activities. He does activities also. He does pastimes. So, that's why millions across thousands of years, they still chant Krishna, Rama, Narayana, Vishnu, all these names. And let us understand this. Does God exist? So this is a very honest question, right? People say, I believe in God. Some say, I don't believe. Some say, I will believe only when I see the God. So let us ask practically. So do we deny electricity because we can't see it? We experience its symptoms, right? It comes through light, fan, AC. But we cannot say that, oh, I'm not able to see electricity, so I don't believe it. So it's not like this. So do we see government everywhere? We also cannot see government everywhere, but we experience law, order, systems, etc. Similarly, God is experienced through order in nature, laws of karma, consciousness itself. So Krishna explains in Gita that he is not visible to everyone. Just like the sun is not visible to a blind person, right? Not because the sun does not exist, but because he doesn't have that vision. So he is blind, so he cannot see. It doesn't mean that sun does not exist. So the question is not does God exist? The real definition is, do we have the qualification to perceive God? And so when so the third topic that we are going to discuss today is meaning of Bhagavan. So this is very important. The scriptures give a clear definition. Bhagavan means one who possesses six opulences completely. So what are those six opulences? The six opulences are wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. These are the six opulences. So all these opulences are there fully. All wealth, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. All of them are the six opulences that Bhagavan will possess. So now let us think honestly, do we know any human being who has all these six fully and permanently, not temporarily? No, right? It's obvious. Do you know anyone that has all these opulences fully, completely, and permanently? No, right? No or yes? Do you know anybody? Okay, I assume you do not know because there is nobody except God. So Krishna alone satisfies this definition. So Krishna is not God because we believe him. Uh, we believe him because he fits this definition of God. So all these six opulences he completely possesses. So the fourth one is eyes to see God. Now someone may ask, if God exists, why can't I see him? It's a very practical question, right? If God exists, I should also see him, is what some people think. Like if you want to see uh, some objects, like you need microscopic objects, you need microscope to see, and for looking at long distances you need telescope, and for this x-ray you need that x-ray vision. So similarly, to see God we need spiritual eyes. That's why we are not able to see God. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I reveal myself only to my devotees. He says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavam yaschasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gnatva vishate tadanantaram. So he says, I don't want to reveal myself to everybody, but I reveal myself only to devotees. So he reveals himself only to his devotees. And he also says in 10th chapter 11th shloka, तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहम् अज्ञानजं तमः नाशयामि आत्मभावस्तो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. He says, out of compassion for my devotees, I dwell in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born out of ignorance. That means he says, I live in devotees' hearts, and and like a bright lamp, I remove the darkness of ignorance by giving them knowledge. So he says, our heart is full of ignorance, and he gives that knowledge to remove that darkness. And he does it only for the devotees. So God is not hidden. He is revealed, but only to those who approach him with devotion. So, seeing God is not about physical eyes, it is about purified consciousness. When you have purified consciousness, consciousness will be purified only through bhakti. So, when you approach God with bhakti, you'll be able to see God. So, just like a dusty mirror, it cannot reflect the image, right? We cannot see in the dusty mirror clearly. Similarly, a mind filled with material desires, we cannot perceive God. And scriptures are our mother. So this is very beautiful concept. Just like mother introduces us to our father, right? Similarly, scriptures introduce us to God. So we don't argue with our mother. If she says he is your father, we don't ask that, show DNA prove me scientifically that he is my father. So we will not ask those questions, right? We trust her. So in the same way, we trust Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are all known as spiritual mother for all the living beings, because they give us correct knowledge. So in the next slides, we'll go deeper into each of these points with example stories, and how can we apply in daily life. So the first point is God. Who is Ishvara? He is a famous personality. So first let us understand the word Ishvara. Ishvara means controller. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddesha arjuna tishtati. So he says the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. So Ishvara means the supreme controller, the ultimate authority, and one who controls even the controllers. For example, we have devatas who control wind devata. We have rain devata. Every department we have devatas, right? And Krishna is the one who controls all the controllers. So devatas are also under Krishna's supervision. So we control some things as human beings. We control some things like our phone, our car. Maybe some of them may be managers. They manage teams in office, manage homes, etc. But Krishna controls time. Krishna controls nature. Krishna controls karma, and Krishna also controls birth and death. So that is why he is called Parameshwara, the controller of all controllers. So we need to understand that. And everyone discusses about Krishna. So this is very interesting, right? Think practically, there are many topics in the world like politics, money, health, movies, etc. There are so many topics when we meet with our friends, colleagues, we kind of discuss all other topics. But one topic that never stops being discussed across centuries is God. So God discussion happens in villages, in cities, universities, temples, tea shops, offices, everywhere God will be discussed. People may agree God or disagree. People may believe in God or they may not believe in God, but they always talk about God. So that itself shows God is not an ordinary subject. God is a central reality of life. So believers talk about God's kindness, God protection, God's beauty, God's pastimes. But devotees also chant his names, hear his pastimes, and read scriptures. But out of all, Shravanam and Kirtanam, Shravanam is hearing about God, and Kirtanam is chanting his names, are very important. These two things are very important. Why? Because Krishna is all attractive. When someone experiences even a little devotion, naturally they want to glorify the Lord. So, just like when you enjoy a good movie or when you go to a restaurant and you like the food, what do? You automatically recommend it to others. The same way, we also recommend God, we talk about God with others. And non-believers also discuss about God. Whoever do not believe in God, they also discuss about him. They say, I don't believe in God, is still thinking and talking about God. That means God is still in their consciousness. Now let us look the common arguments one by one. So people say God is partial. They will ask questions like, if God is there, why is there suffering? Why are some rich and some poor? We discussed about it in detail in previous session also, right? About the law of karma and things like that. And Bhagavad Gita also explains God is equal to everyone, and results come from our own karma. Just like electricity is same for everyone. But if someone touches live wire, shock happens, right? So the same way. So God is not partial. Nature works under his laws. Krishna says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyah ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. So Krishna says, I don't feel jealous of anyone. I don't favor anyone. I anyone over other. I treat everyone equally, but anyone who serves me with love becomes my friend. And that person stays close to me. and I become their friend too. So that's what Krishna says. But some people say God is bad because God allows wars, disease, death, etc. They say God is bad. But let us ask honestly, is the government bad because people break laws and go to jail? For example, if in the traffic there is a red signal, if you cross over, you will be given fine. And if there is an accident, you will be asked for to come to court and produce the evidence and things like that, right? That means government is bad. It's not like that, right? Similarly, God gives free will. We misuse it and then we blame God that God is bad. So Krishna gives guidance, but he does not interfere with our independence. That is out of his love. He does not interfere. So he instructs us what is good, what is bad. If we still go in bad route, he already warns us. If you go in that route, it is not good for you. But still, if you go and blame God, it is not right. So that's what we need to understand. He's not bad. And some people say, I don't need God in my life. This is only until everything works in favor. So once someone gets into trouble, they would definitely remember God. If things are not favorable, if they are in difficulties, if they are in miseries, they will definitely remember God. But if they are not having any difficulties in life, they might say, I don't need God in my life. So God is not needed when things are comfortable, but things are not favorable, we definitely approach God. Anybody who says that I don't need God, that person also approaches God. But people who are intelligent, they will understand before itself and they approach God even before things go wrong. So that is the real intelligence. And some people say, I am a scientist. I want proof for everything. Science works with observation, experiment, and repeatability, right? But science itself has limitations. Can science prove love? No, right? Can science prove consciousness? No. Can science prove free will? No, it cannot prove all these things also. Krishna explains that God is understood by hearing from authority, and only after your consciousness is purified, then only you'll understand God. Just like you cannot see radio waves with naked eyes, right? So somebody is listening to the radio, then you say, okay, I don't believe in this radio is coming from that station because I don't see the connection. So it is stupid because the radio waves will catch the signals and but because we cannot see, we should not say it doesn't exist, right? But with the right instrument you can experience them. Bhakti is also the instrument to experience God, that we need to understand. And this is interesting, some people say I am God. So this is the peak of misunderstanding. If that person is a god, can he stop death? Can he control the nature? Can he create universes? If if no for all the questions, then Bhagavad Gita clearly says Jiva is tiny, God is infinite. So we have to understand you are the servant of God eternally. That understanding actually brings peace and humility. So now look at the picture of the signboard showing atheists and believers, different paths but same discussion. One says I accept God, and another says I reject God. But both are centered on God only. That itself proves God is a famous personality, and God cannot be ignored. So we understand God is an Ishvara who is the supreme controller, and everyone talks about him either positively or negatively. Some people discusses about God thinking that they believe in God, and some people discusses about God even though they think that they don't believe in God. So belief or disbelief does not change God's existence. If we don't believe, it doesn't mean that God does not exist, right? So God definitely exists. If you believe it or not, God is existing. So our responsibility is to understand God correctly. So let's understand the next point. Does God exist? This is very important and very common question. So this question is not wrong. In fact, asking this question shows intelligence. Instead of answering emotionally, let us understand logically and practically. Just like Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita, please look at this slide carefully. On the left side, you see images. On the right side, you see the answers. So let's go one by one. Mona Lisa, when you look at Mona Lisa, we will definitely remembering da Vinci. So when you see the Mona Lisa painting, what do you immediately think? You immediately think about the painter. So, but we never ask, does the painter exist? No, because a painting cannot come by accident. Intelligence must be behind it. So automatically we say Leonardo da Vinci painted it. Even though we may not have seen him personally, we accept his existence by his painting. So, for example, if you take Taj Mahal, who built Taj Mahal? Shah Jahan. Taj Mahal did not come on its own. We all know such beauty, such symmetry, such planning means there must be a creator. So we say Shah Jahan built the Taj Mahal. Even today, long after his time, his existence is known through his creation. And electric bulb invented by Thomas Alva Edison. So we may not have met Thomas Alva Edison, we may not know his personal life, but when we see a light, electricity, we accept there is an inventor. Uh, his name is Thomas Alva Edison. We don't say light appeared randomly one day; it happened automatically, right? So we always think that there is one scientist who has invented electricity. So now, electric bulb. Now let us apply the same logic to life. If a painting needs a painter, a building needs a builder, an invention needs an inventor, then can this perfectly organized universe come without intelligence? Sun rising on time, seasons changing, our body functioning automatically, heart beating without any effort. This level of design is far greater than Mona Lisa or Taj Mahal. So the logical conclusion is a supreme intelligent designer must have created this creation. So that supreme designer is God. Now someone may say, okay, but I can see Mona Lisa, Taj Mahal, bulb. Why can't I see God? So very important point. We don't see radio waves, Wi-Fi signals, gravity, but we experience their effects. Similarly, God is known by his energies and creation. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the source of everything. अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः. He says, I am the source of everything, both spiritual and material. So everything comes from me. Those who truly understand this worship me with love and dedicate themselves fully to serving me. So that's what Krishna says. So we see his energy everywhere, but we do not have that spiritual vision to see him directly. For that, we need purification. For purification, we need to do devotion. So, God is not imagined, God is inferred by intelligence. We don't need to believe blindly, but use your intelligence. Just like you infer painter from painting, builder from building, similarly, infer God from creation. So, that is Vedic logic. So, the thinking person on the slide, look at that person on the right side, scratching his head with a question mark. That represents all of us. At some point in life, everyone thinks, is there something more? Is there someone behind all this creation, etc.? That question itself is the beginning of spiritual life. So let's understand this. Does God exist? In the previous slide, we saw how creation always points to a creator. Now, this slide takes the same logic one step further using history and civilization. So look at the images on the left. Great Sphinx. It's an Egyptian civilization. When you see the Great Sphinx, what comes to your mind? Do we ask, does this statue appear naturally? No, it doesn't appear naturally. We immediately say Egyptian civilization existed. Even though we were not alive at that time, we never saw those people. We accept their existence because their work is still standing. The creation becomes the proof of the creator. And if you take the next one, Parthenon, it's a Greek civilization. Such architecture, such precision, such engineering, nobody says it came by accident. We say Greek civilization existed. They had knowledge, they had skill, and they had that culture. Even today, universities teach Greek philosophy. Why? Because their influence still remains. So, next thing is Colosseum, Roman civilization. Massive structures, complex paintings, and long lasting constructions. From this, we conclude Roman civilization existed. They were powerful, organized, and intelligent. Even today, Roman laws and systems influence modern society. Now, observe something carefully. None of us have met Egyptians, none of us have met Greeks, none of us have met Romans, but we never doubt their existence. We never ask Egyptians never existed, or Greeks never existed, or Romans never existed. Why? Because their creations are visible, their influence is undeniable. We still are able to see their creations. Applying the same logic to God. Now, let us ask an honest question. If monuments prove civilizations, structures prove intelligence, history proves people existed, then does this universe not prove the existence of God? This universe is far more complex than Colosseum, far more precise than Parthenon, far more mysterious than the Sphinx. Just one human body has billions of cells, perfectly coordinated systems, automatic functioning. So how can such intelligence come without a supreme intelligence? So that's what we need to understand. Why people still doubt God? Now look at the person on the right side thinking with a question mark. People say, I can see the monument, but I cannot see God. But we must understand, we also cannot see the civilizations now. We see only their results. Similarly, we may not see God directly, but we see nature's laws, karma working, time controlling everyone. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. He says this material nature is working under my supervision, under my direction. So God is not known by speculation. God is known by his energies and instruction. Just like we know Romans by Colosseum, we know Greeks by Parthenon, we know God by creation, order, and scriptures. So this is also logically proven that God exists. So now let me share a very famous and meaningful story. The story is often used to explain why intelligence always points to an intelligent source. On one side, you see Sir Isaac Newton. On the other side, you see a model of solar system. So Sir Isaac Newton was one of the greatest scientists in history. Every one of us know, right? So he created laws of motion, invented laws of motion, laws of gravity, and he also created that scientific understanding of the universe. And he was not an ordinary person. He's extremely intelligent person. And Newton himself said, what did he say? I believe the more I study science, the more I believe in God. The statement itself is very powerful. So, Newton had a friend actually. He did not believe in God. He says the nature formed automatically. So, once that friend came to Newton and he visited Newton's office, Newton had a beautiful mechanical model of the solar system that we are seeing in this picture in his room. This model is having these planets moving in proper orbits and sun in the center, everything perfectly balanced. When Newton's friend saw this, he was amazed. He asked Newton, who made this wonderful model? Newton replied, nobody made it. It happened automatically. So then the friend was shocked. He said, what do you mean nobody made it? Such a perfect model cannot come by accident. Newton smiled and said, exactly, that's what I am trying to tell you. If this small model cannot come without a maker, how can this huge, perfectly organized universe come without a creator? Now you are saying that God is not existing, nature formed automatically, and you are saying this model, this small model cannot be automatically created, and you are saying that nature can be automatically created, then you have to think about it. So then his friend agreed upon it and he understood that God exists. So this is powerful logic, right? A small solar system model needs a designer, a simple machine needs an engineer, then real solar system must have an intelligent designer, right? The planets move in fixed orbits, they never collide randomly, and they follow precise laws. Who made these laws? Newton understood laws need a lawgiver. Science does not reject God. True science actually leads to God. Real scientists are very humble, like Newton. The more they experiment, their faith in God increases. And because they understand the order, precision, intelligence in the nature, also, right? They understand it clearly. And they naturally conclude that there is a supreme intelligence behind this nature. So, why this story is important for us? Many people say, I am scientific, so I don't believe in God. But Newton shows the opposite. The deeper he went into science, the more clarity he saw. And the more he understood the God's hand everywhere. So the problem is not science, the problem is pride. When knowledge increases with humility, then it leads to devotion. Then you will be able to understand God. Now let's see the meaning of God, Bhagavan. So far, we have logically understood that God exists. And now the next natural question is, who is God? And how do we define God correctly? So we have a clear scriptural definition of these two questions. Who has given this definition of God? Parasara Muni. Parasara Muni is a father of Vyasadeva. He explains this meaning. Parasara Muni is also a great Vedic authority, and his son is Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva compiled Vedas, Upanishad, Mahabharata, and Srimad Bhagavatam also. So this definition comes from topmost authority, not from speculation. So Parashara Muni defines um, Bhagwan as one who possesses six opulences in full that we discussed just now. He says not partially, not temporarily, but completely and eternally all six opulences Bhagwan is having. That is the standard Vedic definition of God, and it is also accepted by scriptures. Now let's understand these six opulences one by one in a little more deeper than we discussed previously. The first one is most powerful. God must be most powerful. We may have power of physical strength, position, authority, but all power is limited, temporary, dependent. Whatever we have is limited, and it is also temporary. We may be stronger today, and after 10 years, we may not be stronger. We may have wealth today, after 20 years, we may lose the wealth. And these are all temporary in material nature, but Krishna is most powerful. Krishna shows his power by lifting Govardhan hill. So when he lifted Govardhan hill with little finger, with his left hand's little finger, he was just 7 years old, and controlling the nature and defeating unlimited demons effortlessly. It's all done by Krishna. That is why he is called all powerful, and he is most knowledgeable. He has complete knowledge. We sometimes we study and we forget. We learn slowly, but Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "I know everything, past, present, and future." And he speaks Bhagavad Gita once, and but it guides humanity for thousands of years. And he spoke Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Even now, everyone in the nook and every corner of the universe, everybody is studying Bhagavad Gita. That is perfect knowledge. And he is also most beautiful. Beauty attracts the heart, right? Everyone is attracted to beauty, but beauty in this world, today somebody may be beautiful, but if they are in old age, the beauty fades. But Krishna's beauty is permanent. It attracts even liberated souls. It increases, Krishna's beauty increases every moment, and it is also eternal. So that is why he's called Krishna. Meaning of Krishna is the all attractive one, and he's also most famous. Fame means somebody is talking about you for the greatness that you have, right? Many people are famous in this world, but only for few years, maybe in one country or maybe in one field. But Krishna is known across ages, across cultures, across the world, across the globe, across the universes. Even people who deny God know the name Krishna. So that is unmatched fame, and he is most wealthy. So, all resources in this world, gold, land, energy, intelligence, ultimately belong to him. Krishna says, I am the proprietor of all planets in Bhagavad Gita 5.29. That means nothing belongs to us permanently. Everything belongs to Krishna. All resources belong to Krishna. And the sixth opulence is most renounced. This is very important. God is fully renounced even though he has everything. We struggle to renounce even small things, right? Krishna, even after having unlimited wealth, unlimited power, walks away from everything at the end of his pastimes. That is complete renunciation. So why this definition is perfect? This definition does not say God is Hindu, God is Indian, God belongs to one group. It gives objective qualities. Anyone who possesses all six opulences fully is God. So when we examine all these six opulences, that fits only Krishna. Krishna fits perfectly with the definition that Parasara Muni has given. So we clearly understand God is not an imagination. Bhagavan means possessor of six opulences, and partial greatness does not qualify as God. It has to be eternal and it has to be permanent. Krishna perfectly matches this definition. So we understand God is Krishna. But why everybody is not able to see God? So this is a very important practical example. Till now we understood God exists and God is Bhagavan. God has a clear definition, but someone may still ask, if God exists, why can't I see him? So this example answers that question beautifully. Look at the picture carefully. There are six blind people who are kind of seeing what this particular thing is. So that's an elephant, but they do not know that's an elephant. They haven't seen it before, and they are all blind people. So all the six people are touching different parts of the same elephant. One person touches the leg and says, it is a pillar. and another person touches the tail and say it is like a rope, and someone touches the trunk and say elephant is this is like a pipe, and another touches the ear and says it is like a fan. So now tell me honestly, or are they correct or are they wrong? They may be partially correct but completely wrong. Why? Because their perception is limited, because they don't have eyes to see, and whatever they're touching, that partial thing they are explaining. They are touching the leg, they are seeing that it is a pillar because that is huge, and it senses like a pillar because they are not able to see. So applying this example to God, this is exactly how people see God. Some say God is energy, some say God is light, some say God is formless, and some even say God is everywhere, but he has no form at all. So each person has some experience, but not complete understanding. Like the blind people who has some understanding of this elephant, but not complete understanding. The same way, people who approach God, they have some understanding. God is energy, God is light, God is formless, God is everywhere, etc. But they don't have the full understanding. uh, God is simultaneously personal and also all pervading. Partial vision leads to confusion because they are not, these people are blind, they are not able to see the complete elephant. They are able to perceive only the leg, and they are thinking that it is pillar. And there, one person is looking, touching the tail and says that it is a rope, etc. So, like that, God is also misunderstood. So whoever is understood God only partially, they say it is energy, light, formless, etc. Why everyone cannot see God? Seeing depends on qualification, right? For example, if you see these are all blind people, they cannot see the elephant. Same way, a blind person cannot see the sun. A child cannot understand advanced science. Without microscope, we cannot even see the germs. Similarly, without purified consciousness, we cannot see God. So that is the most important thing that we remember. If our consciousness should be purified before we perceive the God. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "I am not manifest to everyone." It's not that God hides himself. It is that we are not ready. So eyes are not just physical. We usually think seeing means using eyes, but in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about knowledge eyes. When consciousness is covered by ego, material desires, and pride, our vision will be blocked. So we cannot see God. Just like we took an example of dust on mirror hides reflection, and cataract. If somebody, old people will have cataracts, right, in eyes, that blocks eyesight. The same way, our imperfections also block our eyesight to see God. So, how do we get those eyes to see God? How do we get that? We also discussed it some time back. Anyone wants to answer? It's through bhakti. We discussed about it, right? By devotion. How do we do that devotion? Hearing about Krishna, chanting his holy names, following devotional principles, etc. So, Krishna only says in Bhagavad Gita, I can be understood only by devotion. Devotion, because devotion cleanses the eyes of knowledge. Then we will be able to see God. So, till now, we used logics, examples, and common sense to understand that God exists. Let's discuss now that why logic will not always work. Because we have four main defects. All living beings have four defects. This applies to scientists, philosophers, spiritual seekers, every one of us. Let's understand what are those four defects. The first one is imperfect senses. So, our senses are very limited. If you take an example, we cannot see germs with naked eyes. We need a microscope. We cannot hear very high or very low frequencies, and eyes get illusion. If you go to deserts, right, mirage looks like water. So that means we are illusioned. So when our instruments are defective, the conclusions will also be defective. That means if senses are imperfect, logic based on those senses will also be imperfect. So that's the reason why our senses are imperfect. And the second is tendency to commit mistakes. Even great people make mistakes. Doctors give wrong diagnoses, engineers make design errors, scientists also revise the theories, etc. Right? So to err is human. It's a common thing, right? Every human being at some point in time make mistakes. So we all make mistakes. How can we depend only on our own logic to understand God? Um God is unlimited and our senses are limited, and we have a tendency to commit mistakes, then we'll not be able to God perfectly. So the third one is weakness to be illusioned. Illusion means something, we take something wrong as right and something right as wrong. For example, we always think that we are the body, right? That is bodily thinking. And sometimes we dream and we feel that the dream is real until we wake up. We live in that dream, and we also mistake rope as a snake, etc. So most people live in illusion, thinking happiness is in money, thinking youth will stay forever. So when intelligence itself is illusion, logic becomes unreliable, and we cannot rely on the logic. So the fourth one is propensity to cheat. So cheating does not always mean cheating others, it also means cheating ourselves. For example, sometimes we pretend to know things that we do not know, and we present theories without full clarity. And we say sometimes, I know everything, even when we do not know. So even scholars do this unintentionally. So knowledge coming from a cheating tendency is also not perfect. Why this matters in spiritual life? So God is infinite, He is beyond senses, He is beyond mind. And with our four defects, the imperfect senses, illusion, intelligence, tendency to make mistakes, uh, all these things, logic alone cannot reach God. So that's why logic must be supported by authorized knowledge. So what is that knowledge? Let us see how to gain that knowledge. So there are three ways to gain that kind of knowledge. So in previous slide, we clearly understood one thing. Our logic and senses are limited because we have four defects. So now the natural question is, if logic and senses are limited, then how do we get correct knowledge? So Vedic scriptures give a very clear and scientific answer. They explain that there are three ways of acquiring knowledge, and that acquiring knowledge in three ways is called praman. So let us understand them one by one with very simple examples. The first one is Pratyaksha Praman, direct perception. Pratyaksha means direct perception through senses. For example, I see the fan, I believe the fan exists. I taste sugar, I know it is sweet. I touch fire, and I know it burns. So this is the most commonly used method. But now let us see, is this direct perception always reliable? It may not be always reliable. Why? Because our senses are imperfect, like we discussed. For example, sun looks very small for us, but it is actually very huge. But if you look at the sun, it looks like a small ball, right? But it is actually very huge. And if you put a stick in the water, it looks burnt. It looks bent. Based upon the water flow, the stick also looks bent. It will not look straight. So we cannot see bacteria without a microscope. So because our senses are imperfect. So Pratyaksha works only within limits. For material things, it may be useful, but for understanding God, it is not sufficient. So God is beyond senses. So sense perception cannot capture him because we have imperfect senses. So next one is Anuman Praman. So inference or theory based on evidence. Anumana means logical inference. For example, if you see smoke, you think that okay, there must be a fire. And if you see dark clouds, we all think that it may rain. And if you see the footprints, we infer someone walked there. So that's why there are footprints. So science mainly works on this method. But again, let us be honest, is inference always correct? May not be. Because inference depends on previous experience, previous assumptions, and incomplete data. If you take an example of smoke, that may come from fog also, it may come from dry ice also. It may not always be a fire. And clouds sometimes may be dark, but it may not give rain always. So Anuman is better than direct perception, but still not perfect. Especially to understand God, it is not perfect. If we can infer God exists, we can infer God exists, but we cannot know his nature, form, qualities, everything completely by inference. So this is also not a perfect thing. So the next one is Shabda Praman, hearing from a bona fide authority. So this is the most important and reliable method. Shabda Praman means receiving knowledge by hearing from a perfect authority. So this is the method emphasized in Bhagavad Gita. So let us understand with simple examples. For example, how do you know your father? Do you experiment? Do you infer logically? Do you see with microscope? All these are no. You heard from your mother. who is a reliable authority. So that knowledge is 100% correct. Why Shabda Praman is perfect? Because authority has direct knowledge. Authority is free from defects. Authority does not speculate. That's the reason why Shabda Praman is perfect. So Krishna is the ultimate Shabda Praman, ultimate source of knowledge, because he is free from illusion, free from mistakes, free from cheating, and his senses are perfect. The four defects that humans have, Krishna will not have all those four defects. Therefore, Krishna's words are perfect knowledge. That's why Bhagavad Gita is accepted as it is across the universe, not only in India. Shabda Praman comes through Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedas, and bona fide guru in disciplic succession. So this is called Parampara system. So Krishna spoke this to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, and Vyasa to through the disciplic succession until Prabhupada. So the knowledge is unchanged and pure. So Krishna himself says, learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire submissively and render service. So the process uh, is to hear, inquire, serve, and do not speculate. Krishna says this in the chapter 34th sloka. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So Pratyaksha, Anumana, Shabda. These are the three pramanas. Pratyaksha is limited, imperfect. Anumana is little better than Pratyaksha, but still incomplete. But Shabda Praman is the perfect, complete, and reliable. Our Acharyas also suggest that we use senses and logic, there's nothing wrong, but final authority must be Shabda Praman. So God cannot be known by senses alone because we have imperfect senses. God cannot be known by speculations because that is also not complete. God reveals himself through sound, Shabda Praman. So hearing is the most powerful spiritual process. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, hear Bhagavad Gita, read Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shabda Praman, so just like we understood to know the father, we ask the mother. In the same way, if we want to know about God, we must hear from the right authority. We should not guess, we should not speculate, we should not imagine. But what we need to do, use Shabda Praman, hear from the right sources. So where do we hear about God from? So the answer is very simple. We discussed it's from scriptures, and scriptures are known as words of God, spoken by God Himself and recorded and preserved carefully. So this is why scriptures are called Shabda Praman. So why scripture is reliable? Because God, it is coming from God. God is free from all the four defects. So when God speaks, the knowledge is absolute and perfect. That is why we accept Bhagavad Gita as it is with no interpretations and no speculations. So what is parampara means? Parampara means disciplic succession. That means the authentic line of parampara starts from Krishna. So if you look here, the knowledge coming from Krishna to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, Vyasa until Srila Prabhupada. And Krishna spoke this knowledge. Brahma received it directly from Krishna. Narada received from Brahma. And Vyasadeva compiled the Vedas and Gita after hearing from Narada. And the knowledge continued through saints and acharyas. Finally, Srila Prabhupada brought it to us. So this means the message is unchanged, the meaning is pure. So whatever Krishna told, that is coming directly as it is without any interpretations, modifications. So Krishna himself explains this system in Bhagavad Gita. He said in 4.2, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. So he says this knowledge must be received through parampara, otherwise it gets lost or distorted. So why is this important today? Today, many people say, I will read Gita in my own way. I will interpret God according to my understanding. But Krishna says knowledge breaks when parampara is broken. So that's why we strongly emphasize hearing from bona fide guru and following acharyas, accepting scripture as it is very important. So our role is very simple, right? Hear submissively, inquire sincerely, apply practically. That's what is told in 4.34. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So now we clearly understand, to know father, ask your mother. To know God, hear from the scriptures. And scriptures comes through parampara system, and parampara preserves the purity and essence of the scriptures. Therefore, Shabda Praman is the highest and safest way to know God. So this is why our spiritual journey begins with hearing. So in our next sessions, we will see these questions. God is one. Who is he? And because we have a lot of devatas, right? More than 3 crore devatas are there. Who are those devatas? And how, if there are many devatas, how God can be one? How does God look like? And what are his names? And what do we get by serving him? So we will see all these things in our forthcoming sessions. So stay tuned. Tomorrow we will have another session. And if all of you think that it is a weekend, we need a holiday, we can do it on Monday also. Let me know if you have any questions. Any questions, comments, inputs? So did you understand the class completely? You're able to relate from the beginning? So we discussed about 5 topics, right? Today we discussed about who is Ishvara. Are you following? Okay, I think you are able to follow. If you have any questions, you can also ping me offline in WhatsApp. You have my number. So if you want to talk to me personally and understand more, you can ping me offline also. Thank you very much. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya, Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Tagore Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.